since the incredibly bad handling and negotiations led by we, the people, yes, that's we of New Zealand, and the Tainui, to discuss and finally come up with a monetary solution by National Doug Graham. Now that was back in 1995. Doug Graham agreed to an extraordinary increase of $150 million over and above the agreed settlement. He even agreed to a separate cheque being paid to them to cover the GST. From then, we have seen the Maori bullying start in earnest against the everyday citizen of New Zealand. Since then, we have lived with the constant barrage of bullying, the Maori lies and straight-out made-up and embellished stories. I'm personally sick and completely over this false image painted by Maori and their continual stance of being such straight-up signatories of a treaty agreement which was really only for law and order by a desperate gaggle of Maori who needed the power of the British Army to be their protectors from each other. It's often been written of the treaty, which was a document to enforce peace within a lawless, murdering section of New Zealand society, had not been signed or honoured by the British Army, the Maori as a race would have actually wiped themselves out of existence. I, as an individual whose family heritage goes back 6 generations of being part of New Zealand, we are sick. Yes, we are sick and tired of being constantly bullied by the ever-complaining, give me, gravy-trained Maori. I am sick and tired of how our legislators and the spineless judiciary have allowed such lies and mistruths to become part of the Maori existence of so many made-up historical events. Proof of how spineless and wokish the judiciary has become, observe how the treaty was written and signed to protect the cruel Maori from each other, but this temporary document has miraculously become a nation's founding document. It has taken just over 6 weeks for this new coalition government to render Maori an almost nullity. The last time that occurred was in 1877, when the then Chief Justice, that's James Prendergast, proclaimed that the treaty was quite worthless because it had been signed between a civilised nation and an absolute group of savages who were incapable of signing a treaty. Looking back, can anyone say that Chief Justice Prendergast, a man of that time in history, a man of that moment in history, and dealing with that section of New Zealand citizenry, how can anyone say that he was wrong? Yes, only 6 weeks from the general election for the threats, the lies, the intimidation to start flowing from some of the most devious, manipulative individuals who we refer to as the elite Maori, the Maori who have their snouts so firmly shoved into the money trough they no longer have any shame to be seen and described as disagreeable individuals. The latest threat from the person with a pedigree of dishonesty has already threatened Auckland. He will cut off the water to that population unless this new government changes their plans to clip the wings of Maori. Not all Maori need their wings clipped, just those Maori who fit comfortably into the mould of Tuku Morgan, for example, and the dozens like him, including the overreach of that bunch presently sitting on the Waitangi Tribune. These Maori are cunning. Yes, they really are cunning, and they are such expert liars, and they can make any story sound convincing, and unfortunately, far too many tax-paying Kiwis, along with the dizzy-brained judiciary, believe many of these incredible fairy tales. Being cunning and being expert liars is one thing, but the Maori have become so arrogant and even insular they seem unable to understand that most New Zealanders, along with the everyday workmate Maori, have just had enough of this Maori elite bullshit. their lies, their mistruths regarding New Zealand history, and the improbable position of influence they have so blatantly used to undermine New Zealand and take us on a path of being another Zimbabwe. People like Morgan, Tamahiri, Jackson, Mahuta, Ormsby, Lott, and the rest of that destructive gaggle can't seem to grasp the situation they find themselves now being targets of anti-bullying by the majority of Kiwis. They really are so dense, they honestly believe they could and would in time get away and acquire any asset or anything they put their mind to. They still seem impervious. I know this is hard to believe, but they still seem impervious that the negative place they find themselves is of their own manipulative making. Typical bullies and liars, of course, it takes a while for the truth to dawn with that type of person. They are amazed and they're even confused why the worm has turned. So why has the majority of everyday Kiwis had enough of this nonsense with their constant campaigns for a power grab? Even the dim-witted apologists are running out of excuses. And my message to any Maori who disagrees with what we have said in this particular program, this is my message to you. You can take this any way you wish. Most Kiwis are not interested in your Maori language or your culture. We're pissed off with it's contaminating the English written and spoken word, pissed off with organisations taking on a Maori name and corporate who are so woke they belittle their grasp on reality by bowing to your Maori bullshit. This is my message to you gravy-trained Maori elitist. Your days of hoodwinking the everyday Kiwi, they are now over. A massive majority have had enough of your bullying and have voted to have your manipulative, dishonest grab of New Zealand and its assets stopped. Yes, your arrogance and your deceitful actions, I truly believe, is the main reason why most Kiwis have had you nullified.